How's it going, guys? My name is Stone and welcome to These Reviews. And today I'm going to be doing a very special album review for a very special artist, an artist that I've been listening to for quite a while now, Captain Beefheart and his Magic Band. Today I'm going to be reviewing his fourth studio album, Clearly, Lick My Decals Off Baby, released in 1970. This sees the band holding on to the avant-garde sound they achieved on Trout Mask, albeit with Bill Harklewood composing Beefheart's material rather than John French. This is notable for being the Captain's favorite album, as well as a favorite for many fans and critics. And while I understand why this album's minimal sense of accessibility would make it more favorable, I still think Trout Mask Replica is the better album. But with that said, I do think the highs on here are better than the highs on Trout Mask, as they retain the complex and jagged rhythms from before, but tone it down enough to make it a bit more digestible for casual listening. I guess that all depends on how casually you like to play your Captain Beefheart, which for me, it's too casually maybe. I listen to this album quite regularly, and I've grown to love its sense of angst that pushes so many musical boundaries, employing great melodies between Beefheart's stage presence and the Magic Band's challenging compositions. I also really admire the Captain's Beefheart as a poet, as he's helped me write poetry in a much more abstract way, and just, I don't know, try not to be so sensical with it, I suppose. I mean, with his lyrics, it's tough to illustrate or try to understand what he's saying, but I just kind of like that about his stuff. It's so abstract. And who could forget that wonderful voice that Beefheart has? It's just so freaking amazing. Pardon my attempts throughout this video to sound like him, because I can't help but try to sing like with that growl he has. It opens on the very greasy title track, Lick My Decals Off Baby, which is one of the many favorites from this album. I could tell on first listen that the song's combination of memorable hooks and absurd chord progressions blend together much better than they did on most of the tracks from Trout Mask. With the percussion going on at a speed of 100 miles per hour, it can be hard to grasp the captivating guitar riffs that are happening in between Beefheart's strikingly catchy vocal performance. This track helps define the album's experience for me, as it's similar to being on a twisted roller coaster, as if it's like falling apart, yet the roller coaster is still working properly and still progressing naturally. I think that's a good way of explaining this music, because it feels like these guys, much like Trout Mask, they're just doing crazy stuff that don't sound like shit mixed together, but they mix it and then it works. And I think that that idea becomes more evident on the following track, Dr. Dark, which is another huge favorite of mine. The song is just forensic tranquility for me, if that makes any sense. It's just hard to explain how, or not how, but what this song does to me exactly. I just really admire the fact that this band, this magical band indeed, was able to perform shit so tight while keeping it sounding so intentionally sloppy in a way that captures my attention whenever it's on. I don't understand what Beefheart is trying to illustrate through these lyrics in particular, but I always enjoy, like I said, his ability to write something that sounds nonsensical yet retains a rather complex image that I tend to find to be too difficult to unravel. Whenever I feel like I'm having writer's block, though, I tend to go to songs like this, as they tend to provide lyrical inspiration. Not only lyrical, but just, writing in general. The things get hella catchy though on the next track, I Love You Big Dummy. This introduces that signature scream that only Beefheart can pull off, with that catchy chord progression featuring, I think, a compressed harmonica, sounding almost like a violin in my opinion. Sure, the song might be a bit repetitive, but I don't think it loses any bite because of that. It definitely took several listens for me to fully appreciate it, but I just grew to love how many different times or different ways the Captain could say, I love you, big dummy, quit asking why. It's just so fun, so exciting. After that amazing trilogy of songs, we slow things down for a moment with the track Peon, the first of three instrumentals, three, down across this record. The guitar composition is fingerpicked beautifully by Harklewood and accompanied nicely by Rocket Morton on bass. The thin tone on the guitar really adds to the strangeness of this track as it jolts across multiple melodies without warning, even if it concludes on a rather harmonic note. While the song may not be as striking as the previous ones, it's still a fascinating listen, and I think having these quieter moments on the album really help the listener appreciate the talent it takes for musicians like the Magic Band to make bewildering music like this. We then get to another amazing track, Bellerin Plain. Yeah, this is probably the most chaotic track on side one in my opinion, with vocals. But the captain is just yelling some crazy poetry over some speedy snare hits and around. Oh, sorry, it also includes another bass solo, a wonderful one I should add. But around the 1 minute to 2:30 mark, we get some of the most exhilarating and innovative music on this entire album. I absolutely adore how this part of the song, as well as parts similar to this on the album, fuse these atonal marimba riffs with these complex guitar riffs in such an inventive way. It's honestly just some of the coolest music I've heard. I also love how the song picks up the pace and has the captain play a ferocious clarinet solo, making this song so much cooler, so much more cooler in my opinion. And I'd say like Lick My Decals Off Baby, another definitive track from this record. That awkwardly transitions into the another catchy song on this album, Woe Is a Me Bop. This is another huge favorite of mine, as I tend to have its title stuck in my head, just the way he sings it, like, oh wow, is a me bop. It just, like I said, I love the growl, and I just love the idea, because like when you first see the title, you're like, how do you even say this? Woe is a me bop. But it isn't until you hear him sing it that it kind of gets stuck in your head. I love how subtle the marimba playing is on this track and the harsh transitions between the band's music and the vocals. That jagged progression is more evident when you listen to live versions of this track, which are absolutely insane. Even if in the live stuff, Captain is off on the beat more so than needed, I guess. Nevertheless, though, I enjoy this tame rendition of it in the studio more and how it balances out the craziness with a good melody. Kind of like Love You Big Dummy. We then close side one on the second instrumental on the album, Japan in a Dishpan, which is a phenomenal send-off to the first half of this record in my opinion. I love the harsh mix between, obviously, I'm pretty sure it's a clarinet, with the Magic Band attempting to sound like someone's falling down the stairs. Both pieces appear as if they're playing their own songs, which makes these atonal melodies even more difficult, but more rewarding to comprehend. I mean, honestly, that statement I just said could be made about this entire album as well as Drought Mask. Multiple listens, you really start to appreciate the way the song progresses alongside the captain's horns. And overall, it's just a really nice jam piece that entices the listener to carry on to side two. Like the album I reviewed before this, that being Flying Burrito Brothers, Gilded Palace of Sin, check it out. Like that album, it's so difficult to choose a favorite side because both of these are just, they have a very strong flow and little to no bad moments in my opinion. While they are neck and neck, I'd probably say that side one is a little better, it just has a stronger flow to it. But I still love the 8 tracks that are on the latter half of this album as they complement each other very nicely. Side 2 opens with another favorite of mine. I want to find me a woman. I want to find a woman that'll hold my big toe until I have to go. As parentheses, I think. Again, the marimba and guitar play these excellent yet out of sync melodies that surprisingly gel very well together. And I absolutely love the way it falls into that amazing chorus with the captain screaming the title track. I wanna find me a woman that'll hold my big toe now. My only complaint I might have for this song is that it's just too short. Like, it's such a kick-ass song, and I just wish they did a little more with it. I mean, I know most of these songs are just 2 minutes, and they feel like a lot packed in 2 minutes, but this one does feel like it's missing something. I still like it, though, and I do think it's a good way to open side 2. I just wish I had just a little more, It transitions nicely into the next track, though, Petrified Force, which is a track that I still kind of have a lot of trouble comprehending, which may be the band's intention. With the heavy guitar tone, like slapping you in the face right away, it kicks into a tumultuous performance from every member, sounding as disorderly as something off Trout Mask. It is difficult for me to really appreciate the madness this track has, since it does sound like every member is playing their own song, and it's hard to find like a connection to all of that, for me at least, because I do like the anger and, like I said, the angst that it has. I just feel like it's not a song I come back to often. More so, it's a track that I enjoy when I'm playing the record. If that narrows it down, my likability towards it. But I will say that that madness helps emphasize the sublime sound of the last instrumental, One Red Rose, that I mean. This is easily the most accessible piece on the entire album, even if the guitar composition features a unpredictable sense of rhythm and melody, kind of like Peon. The thin tone once again adds a sense of fragility to the gentleness that this track has, and not only that, I'd say it's rather optimistic, which I think helps the listener take a breather from all the madness they've just been hearing before this. It's definitely another favorite of mine, and I can see why it's a favorite for many people, because it's a beautiful song, kind of like that one track, A Carrot is as close as a rabbit will get to seeing a diamond. If you know that song, you know what I mean. But as much as I like this song, I do think it's not what I'm really looking for from this album. I'm not trying to judge it or say anything negative. I just tend to go to the crazy stuff more than anything else on this record. But I still love it though. Still a fantastic piece by Beefheart and Harklewood. That can explain why I find the next track, another kind of quiet piece, the Buggy Boogie Woogie, to be probably my least favorite from this album. I do like the loungy feel that they were going for on here, but to my ears it kind of sounds like filler. I'm not saying that that was the band's intention. I just feel like I'm waiting for the song to burst into something cool and awesome and crazy, but instead it just maintains that mellow vibe throughout the entire piece, which I like, but I don't think it works well with the captain screaming stuff like "I gotta keep sleeping." Like, I don't know. It's clearly his vocals are way too high in the mix, which I mean I know it's kind of notorious for some songs of his, but like, I don't think it just works well. Maybe if he was singing a quieter or lower, maybe. But yeah. With that said, though, I find the first four tracks on side two to be not the most. I don't know, they're not the bad, but I feel like this is kind of like maybe the dullest moment on the album. Not calling them dull, I'm just saying comparing to the beginning and end. But luckily, the last four tracks are just absolutely killer and some of my favorite moments on this entire album. And they conclude the Lick My Decals Off Baby on such a strong note. The first of those four tracks is definitely the most melodic in my opinion, with it being the Smithsonian Institute Blues, or the Big Dig. I absolutely love the Captain's low vocals on this song, and the vocal melodies throughout this track are just impossible for me to ignore. So I can't help but try to sing that line as low as him. He's like, "Come on down to the big dig." That dig part always gets me, but I love it. And again, that atonal marimba challenges the music very nicely. And I have to admit, the drums groove hella hard on here, which I think adds to the track's likability, in my opinion. With it just being over 2 minutes, this track packs in a lot of amazing musicianship and lyrics that no other band and no other captain, none other than Captain frickin' Beefheart, can be capable of. The sense of magic, I should say, continues on the lethal track Space Age Couple. I remember this song being very unbearable on first listen, but found those vocals getting stuck in my head constantly, as they kind of have a hip swing to it, especially with them being backed by some snappy snare work and some fuzzy guitar. My favorite part of the song, though, is when that bass solo comes in. Then the band plays the main melody much faster, and which at the time gave me an instant headache on first listen, which I kind of appreciated in a way. I mean, maybe the headache came from the fact that I was just walking into town on a hot day, and on first listen, it really gets to you. You're just like, oh my god, what am I doing to myself? But again, with multiple listens, you start to fall in love with its chaotic nature, when you at least are prepared for what's coming next, I suppose. So I don't know. I think that's the thing with when you hear a song for the first time. Like, it doesn't hit you as hard the second or third time. You can still enjoy it though, but like with a song like Space Age Couple, I remember it just like took me away, both in a good way and a bad way. But obviously, it ended up being good because I liked the song and I had the freaking album. So yeah, we then move on to the next amazing track. The clouds are full of wine, not whiskey or rye. As much as I really enjoy everything this track has to offer, and I really do, I honestly have to give it to the first 40 seconds for being another amazing, innovative performance by both Harklewood and Tripp. It just features some amazing freeform guitar and marimba compositions that really show off Harklewood and Tripp as phenomenal musicians. Just an excellent pair in like avant-garde music, I suppose. It kicks into a very messy rambling by the captain, which somehow works better than it did on Petrified Forest. And it closes on some crazy ass drumming by one of my favorite drummers of all time, and one of the best drummers, I guess favorite best, why not both? John frickin' French, bro. What an amazing guy. He composed Trout Mass, I have to hand it to him. That guy is crazy, crazy cool. But after the little moment with the drums, it goes into a neat little marimba solo before going into the magnum opus. The magnum frickin' fucking opus. Flash Gordon's Aid, the song that we're currently listening to. And while this may not be as much of a magnum opus, it does feel like this album has been leading up to this, I don't know, this ultimate mess. The most intolerable track the Captain had to offer for this album. And with it being the longest track on the album, it definitely feels like it's 4 minutes just stretching somehow to like 6 or 8. With the captain singing and playing multiple horn instruments on one side of the speaker, and then the band playing on the other side, you really feel the musical pot boiling into something that's almost uncontainable. Luckily, halfway through the track, you get another atonal yet sweet sounding marimba solo before being thrown back into the madness as if you never left it. Which I like, you know, it's very, like I said on first listen, you don't expect it at all, but when you do, it's kind of a nice, like, 20 seconds maybe of sweet sounding music? Or kind of, you know, you hear it's twisted, but like in a good way. But while I understand why people wouldn't like this song at all, just because maybe the horns, I honestly go back to it more often than one might think, as I actually love the captain screaming on here and just the ultimate mess that this song is. I'm gonna turn it off real quick. Whoop. And yeah, like I said, it's just an amazing song. And I also love that one line, I gotta shout it out, where he says, "So you know how to count to one." It's one of those lyrics that I wish I came up with because it's just so funny. I like albums such as Court of the Crimson King or the Velvet Underground debut. This anthemic conclusion really makes the listener feel as if they've been sent out on a journey that's been worth every step of the way. And now that they've gotten to the last chaotic song on this damn album, a statement that honestly can especially be made towards Trout Mask, because that thing is more of a journey to get through. And I think Veterans Day Poppy is the best song to close from that album, so I'm glad they chose it for the closer. But yeah, overall, the complexities of the instrumentation tied to Beefheart's unbeatable voice and stage presence, or just presence, I guess, blends into one of the most experimental and avant-garde albums I've heard in quite a while. Before I go into like showing off my favorite side or favorite songs, I just want to show off this vinyl I have. You may notice it has this little tag right here, because when I bought it, and it's got this writing on it, this is actually, funny enough, a promo copy. I'll show you the label to prove it. It's probably one of my best, not best records, but like obviously one of my rarest records, because it actually has the white label. I've had records in the past where they say like, they have the stamp, promotion, do not sell, but it's just like the same label as all the other ones, so it doesn't feel as like, I don't know, special. But with this one, it clearly different label from the rest, you could tell. I mean, with the writing on it too, it seems like it was stored somewhere where they had, oh, Captain Beefheart. And then I'll show the back too. I like the little poetry, kind of, even though it's not on any of these songs. I think this was a song that was cut from the album. I forgot. I think it's on Wikipedia, but I love Don Vlett's artwork. Always really nice. Not really much to it. I think I have this in here too. So, I'll put this in real quick, but it's definitely like the straight original sleeve it came in. Got, oh, I thought I had Zap in the back, but I guess not. But yeah, don't worry. I have one of these sleeves. I'll put it in there afterwards. But yeah, I just freaking love this album. It's tough. I used to go back as to which one was my favorite, either Trout Mask or this one. And I just think, I don't know, I'm kind of a fool for double albums where even if it's like not consistently all the way great, there's enough stuff where I could keep coming back, and there's just more. I mean, this album has like 15 songs, so I don't know. There's definitely a lot to come back to here, but I think those two in general, Trout Mask and Lick My Decals Off Baby, should be listened to as a whole. If you have the time and if you have the ears for it. But yeah, my favorite 6 songs, I'm doing top 6 because there's so many. Doing Dr. Dark, Woe is a Me Bop, Smithsonian Institute Blues, Space Age Couple, Clouds Are Full of Wine, and Flash Gordon's Ape. Oh yeah, I think that's 6. Yeah, that is. And side 1 is still probably my favorite side, even though I might go back and forth because I love side 2, but I also love side 1. You know, it's like, yeah. I guess I could love both. But yeah, let me know what your guys' thoughts are. I'd love to hear some interesting facts about this record, or if you guys just want to tell me your thoughts about it. That'd be sweet, yo. And then stick around for my next video because I'll be doing a very cool album review of a very niche dude, I guess. He has kind of a cult following like Captain, but I'd say even more of a cult following because he's not as prevalent in the music career. But thank you guys for watching my video. Thanks for listening to me ramble, and I hope to see you in the next one. Ta-ta, bye.